Hello and welcome to another episode of the R&B Show. It's just me today. There's no B. It's just Ron. Um, I'm excited as hell to do this for my first solo episode. I'm going to talk about one of my top three favorite movies of all time. I just showed it to my kid. Superman, the original 1978, Richard Donner directed, Salkind produced. Richard Donner directed Superman, the motion picture. You can believe a man can fly. Bam, 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 bam. Oh my goodness. I fucking love this movie. And I forgot how much I love this movie. And I just showed it to my 6-year-old daughter, who I mean, I have a Superman tattoo. I'm obsessed with Superman. And so she loves Superman, like she knows Superman. But it was really cool. She is like in this movie. She is like so all in. Everything was so gripping. I mean, Richard Donner's direction, it doesn't get better. I mean, I know everyone consulted with him, not everybody, but like anyone who was smart consulted with him on a superhero movie. I mean, this movie sets the tone for what the kind of renaissance we had in the early 2000s, to what some might argue at this point is an oversaturation of superhero movies, right? But he set the tone with his team. This movie's awesome. Amazing cast, right? We'll just start right there. Brando, who at that point stopped giving a fuck, but man, he still dialed in a good performance. Like his Jor-El, Superman's dad, is so kind and like omniscient almost, very engaging performance. Obviously, Gene Hackman is Lex Luthor, charming, whimsical at times, cruel. Like you do believe that he could like fly off the handle. I remember as a kid thinking like this guy's really dangerous, even though he's like playing it for laughs sometimes. Um, Actually, I'm gonna say, like, I'm curious, audience, like, what do you guys think about Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor? I liked him much better than Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey had this feel to me of like, I'm good. I'm a good actor, right? Like every time he talks, he had this like snarky, like, I'm talented, right? Um, but Gene Hackman's Luthor is just so sly and cunning and just like obsessed. Like you could see how crazy this guy is. Huge fan of that. And then obviously Christopher Reeve. Uh, I mean, this is up for a lot of debate, but like, is he the best Superman? I don't know, but like he embodies this character. I mean, this was a part that was made for him. I know like other people at the time read for it, like my other hero, Neil Diamond. They offered it to Neil Diamond at one point, and he turned it down. Wasn't enough money for him. Stallone wanted to be Superman, and I read there's a book. Then now I'm thinking I forgot the name of it, but it's like Hollywood versus Superman, I think, and how hard it is to make a Superman movie. And Stallone, in the book, they talk about how Stallone, it was prior to Rocky coming out, and he vied for it, and they were like, the producers were like, they said he was too ethnic looking, right, too Italian looking or whatever. But I think he wasn't fine. But actually, I just recently saw Grease with my daughter. The was it 90? Yeah, 78. It was Grease with John Travolta, and I was like, man, he could have pulled off a sick Superman. I think he would have been a really good Superman. But Christopher Reeve, right, embodies this character, lives this character, breathes this character. He's so regal as Superman, and then completely transforms as Clark Kent. One of my favorite scenes ever in any movie actually is in Superman 2, where he transforms in front of Lois. And it's like it sounds so stupid to say it, but you go like, oh, I could see why they'd miss that, right? He's like, oh, Lois, and then he's like, oh, damn it, she got it. And he contorts his body, and you're just like, yeah, that is a different person. That is a completely different person. I would miss that, you know. So his playing the dual role of Clark Kent, Superman, so believable, so genuine. And I saw a documentary about it where Richard Donner's like, we have the like all the gear and the crew is all working their ass off, but he's like, it's Christopher Reeve that is blind. Like he is the one that is bringing it to life and just making it look so effortless. Lois Lane, played by Margaret Kidder, so iconic, so likable, so spicy, right? Like she's so adventurous, and you're like, I don't know, I would watch the Lois movie. Like she is so interesting to watch in this movie. Um, I don't. I mean, I know she's had a history with mental illness and hard things, and it was not an easy life. But like, I don't know her from anything else. Like, I don't remember as a kid seeing her in anything else. Love her in this role. Is she my favorite Lois? Possibly. Like, I don't take Terry Hatcher seriously, not to be a dick. I think she's a really fun actress, but like I don't know, she's Terry Hatcher. She's not Lois. Margaret Kidder, just like everything she brings to this character and the follow-up movies, she's phenomenal. Ned Beatty as like the hired hand of Luthor, like his like idiot sidekick. He's so funny, so likable, again engaging. Valerie Perrin, who gorgeous, like she's his other hired assistant. She just brings this to life, and it's just what I kept thinking about watching this movie is I'm stunned by the detail and like how much reverence they gave this concept. And I know Richard Donner, his whole thing was verisimilitude. He's like, we have to sell this thing. We have to make the world believable. And if everyone in the world believes that they're in it, it will sell. The audience will believe it. And I think you look at like the trio of Hackman and Beatty and Perrin, the way that they coexist and how they're doing crazy things. I mean, it's like so silly the plot, their plot, but they're in it. They believe it, so I believe it. And it's that verisimilitude. Like it just they're so authentic and so real. You go with them on the journey. That's when my kid's used to Marvel movies, right? Where everything is on just an 11, right? Like the whole world's about to die if we don't do this thing. Here, I mean, Luther is trying to sink the West Coast, but there's so many different little rescues along the way that are gripping. When the first one, especially, it's so fascinating to watch. It's so intense and immediate. Where Lois is on the helicopter and she could fall, and it's shot so delicately and so intensely that like we were at the edge of our seat. I've seen this movie millions of times, maybe, and I was at the edge of my seat, and my daughter like remarked just like how crazy it would be if like you saw a Superman, a person that seems to have the human characteristics fly up and catch you. And I was like, I know, right? Like, and especially in 1978, that had to be crazy. It was so new and different and unheard of almost. Like, so Star Wars, like there's a great documentary on Disney Plus about ILM and the how they did all the special effects sequences. So like that's cool, right? But I can wrap my mind, I mean, hindsight, I can wrap my mind around the ships and the aliens, but this was a man. They got us to believe a man can fly. Not to be cheesy, but like they did it. Like, oh my God, the technical feat of this movie and how real it looks and how well it holds up. I stand by it. Okay. So that's my first kind of, I just love this movie. That's me gushing over this movie. Let's get into the structure. Structurally, I think it's so delicious. There's three parts, right? It starts with the sci-fi. It starts in Krypton, completely different world with production designed by John Barry, who did Star Wars. And it definitely looks like it's of a completely different world. They're wearing these like suits that were made of popcorn foil that when the light came on, it just looks so electric and like they're just like vibrating. Like who thought, like who thinks of these things? Like I write jokes for stage about my kid, like how hard it is to drive with a kindergartner. That's as creative as I get. I also do a Neil Diamond impression act. Like that's as creative as I get. These people are like, and again, 1978, they don't have computer generated options. They don't have computers. I mean, they have computers, but it's not to this extent. Unbelievable what they've done, what they did. And again, just looking at the mixture of the paintings, the matte paintings with the matte backgrounds with the models and just how they used the camera, how they thought they were so innovative. And again, we're watching this. I'm watching with a 7-year-old, a 6-year-old. She's gonna be 7 soon. I'm watching with a kid, and she's gripped. She's all in. She can't believe what she's seeing. It's so real because it is real. Fucking is real. It's like actual tangible textile things that you could touch and feel, and it spills off the screen. And the storytelling, it's so gripping with Zod and Ursa and I forget Grodd. I don't remember his name. The other third bad guy. Like watching how just from the jump they are so passionate about what they're doing in their journey. And Brando just carries this gravitas and this like credibility, Oh my God, beautiful. Then baby Kal-El is shipped off to Earth in a very emotional scene. And we just saw, my daughter and I just went to see Super Pets, and they go all out with that sequence where baby Kal-El is shipped off to planet Earth. Like both my daughter and I were like, I'm not crying. I'm not crying. They like amped it up, but it was cool for her to see the OG, to see like this version of that scene, that is still just as emotionally, it has as much emotional weight as the Super Pets version. Sounds funny, but it's really good. I recommend Super Pets very highly. So baby Kal-El is shipped off to Earth, and they do a really good job of taking their time with that sequence. It's not just like he's done. They show him like learning and listening, and the recording of Jor-El playing in his ear, and the ship is so organic looking and spacey at the same time. And I don't know, it just plays so well in my brain. And he lands on Earth and he meets the Kents, and now we're in a Norman Rockwell painting, right? Now we're in a completely different, it's a different movie altogether. It looks like a period piece in the 40s, 50s. I think when he first lands, probably early 50s. And it's a completely different, these huge sweeping landscape shot in Toronto, or not Toronto, in Canada, everywhere in Canada, but it's shot like just wide angle lenses, huge. It looks epic, right? But it's so sweet, and it has this like Americana feel, this like homegrown, home style potatoes. Gorgeous, right? Beautiful, and you see why this hero becomes, or why this hero is so good and natured, and you see why Clark is such a nice guy too. Like it all, like they set the bones of this whole thing right then and there. Gorgeous. I love the scene. Then we move into the big city metropolis after Clark discovers the Fortress of Solitude, or in this movie, like creates the Fortress of Solitude by throwing the crystal in the frozen lake, and then it erects, and it looks so cool. Even the Fortress of Solitude, like I know it's a painting, but it looks so good. And he becomes Superman, and then now we're shipped off to Metropolis, completely different movie, right? Fast paced 70s, like everything. It looks like what's it called with the Woodward and Bernstein movie. Oh, The President Man. It has this like fast paced, like agency, like right, completely high energy. Love this. We meet Lois, we meet Jimmy Olsen, we meet Perry White. There's a scene that bugs me. There's a scene that like in a Superman movie, this is the one scene where I have to squint my eyes, and I'm like, okay, I didn't see that. In the first interaction where we meet Clark, in this new nerdy role where he's like, oh, gee, Lois, and we meet Lois and Perry White. Perry White asked Clark to open up a bottle, and it's like Lois grabs it from him, slams on the table, gives it back to him, and that took me out. Where I was like they're setting up a comic bit where it explodes, and he's like, "Why would you do that, Lois? No one would do that." But like she did it. Like we saw the punchline, that she did it. That's like that's my only complaint in this movie. Watching it this time around, I was like, that's like telegraphing the punch. Regardless, everything else, fast paced, and then we build to. There's the first time before we build to the helicopter. There's a really fun sequence where they're walking, and then they kind of redid this with the Wonder Woman movie, where they get pulled into an alley, and a guy with a gun is like messing with them, and then he shoots, and then Clark grabs the bullet and pretends to faint. So much world building, so much relationship building, so much storytelling happening in that one scene. It's like nutrient dense. We see the relationship between Clark and Lois develop. We see the transformation where she leaves and Clark kind of winks at the camera, or at that point, really, it's Kal-El winking at the camera, and then he goes back to character. I mean, so stylistic, so expert, such great storytelling. And then he by accident like messes up as Clark, which sets the tone in the latter movie for him breaking character and falling in front of her, and putting the hand in the fire in the Niagara Falls scene. But we see so much in these scenes, and I think this is Donner at his best. Like, I mean, Lethal Weapon, those movies are pretty damn good, but like this is Donner at his best, and the pressure on him was horrible. I mean, he did not get along with Pierre Spengler, who was the head producer, who worked under the Salkinds, who they were the ones that for years were trying to they owned the rights. They were trying to create this authentic, powerful, epic Superman movie. I should say too, Mario Puzo was is listed as one of the writers. He wrote the book for it, like the story for it. So that they put everything into this movie, and Donner just elevates it with his sincerity and his ability to pack a frame with information. So I love it. Okay, I love it. And then it builds to the helicopter sequence, which is such a relief. I'm not gonna talk too much about the Gene Hackman stuff though. I gotta be honest. Like the Lex Luthor, it's good. Like it doesn't, but for me, it doesn't move the needle too much one way or the other. Like it's fun to have a villain. It's fun to have Gene Hackman, and again, he is awesome in this. But like, I'm not gonna talk about that too much because it's like it's cute. It's a fun villain, but I don't know. It doesn't excite me. What excites me is all the Superman stuff, and that is I want to stop there and just make a comment that like nowadays, like it's the villains, right? Right. Marvel is criticized a lot of time for not having great villains, but when they do, it's awesome. Thanos, Infinity War is a great Thanos movie. Um, Killmonger in Black Panther is a great, very interesting, engaging character, right? So when they do it well, they do it well. Obviously, Thor: Love and Thunder. Was Christian Bale in that movie? I don't remember. I don't know. Who's the villain in that movie? Oh, Taika Waititi, I think. Yes, that's who the villain. Anyway, I'm just kidding. The point is this: they do the hero so well. Like they do justice to Superman. Uh, and the way that he saves her, and the way that like she's like, "You got me. Who's got you?" Oh, I eat all this up. But Christopher Reeve, the way he played it, so simple. Where he's like, you know what? I'll let the costume do the talking. He's like the minute he's in costume, he just shows up and he plays it so simple. He's not like I'm a hero. He's just like, gee, Lois, that's awesome. And this Evermore is present in the sequence where he's on the rooftop with Lois and they go for their first flight. But the scene before I think is just, I mean, I don't know why they don't do it more in acting schools, where he's sitting down, he has this secret. She knows, I mean, he knows her, right? But he's pretending to be someone else, and he already has a crush on her. And there's this romantic tension between the two of them, and there's the flirting where she's like, "You can see through anything. What color underwear am I wearing?" And he just said, "He's like pink." Like he just says it. He blurts it out. Like that is him being so consistent with his character. It's it's almost like he had like a matrix of what he wants to do with his character and how simple the Superman is, how complicated the Clark Kent is. Like he knew the vocabulary and he knew when to do what. I mean, it's strategic. It's surgical. So you see that ever more in that scene between the two of them, and then it's just locked in. I don't remember much of the rest of the movie. It's just pure fun after that. The plot to bring down the West Coast is it's like yeah, okay, like what it could be whatever. I mean, I don't care about like it again it doesn't sit with me too much, but it's fun and it gives Superman more of an opportunity to show up and to work through his stuff and be the hero that we all need him to be. And the special effects I think are still great. They still hold up. Like the practical, even him pushing the bus. Like there's a bus that almost goes off the I think it's the San Francisco Bridge or whatever, Golden Gate Bridge. Or I don't know. It could be any. I don't remember what bridge it was, but badass. Like it looks so good. Um, there's a scene where he's like fixing a train track that goes under. Like that part, like it doesn't like that one's like again squinting your eyes. But him going to the earth where the magma and like I want to sit with that Superman so much. In contrast to, I think Henry Cavill is a phenomenal Superman. I actually think he's a great Superman. Um, but the sequences with him were so over the top to me. The violence was so extreme in the Zack Snyder movies, and I respect them. I like them. And yo, give me a Superman. Like I directed a community theater production of Superman the musical. That's how committed I am. Fucking horrible, the musical, but like I did it because I had to. So I'll take Superman. I just want to be clear. Like I'll take Superman in any capacity. But this movie makes me just want to sit with him, just like Lois does in the balcony. Like I just want to sit with him. More Christopher Reeve, more action, more even just Superman talking or Clark Kent being a goof. They knocked this movie out of the park. It still holds up. And then after at the end, there's like uh with the going backwards in time, it's like it's fine. I don't I it didn't upset me. I know a lot of people are very upset about that. So that's my critique. That's my review of this movie. I love this movie all day long. It is a guilty pleasure. I feel like I've been so bitchy lately about like all the Star Wars stuff, and it just I don't know why it like offends me, but I apologize if I'm annoying, but like this movie it just like it was such a nice respite to be like this is the stuff I love, and I think moving forward, watching this, I'm going to be more open to Star Wars and to Marvel, and I'm going to be more open because I'm just like what I have my childhood. I have these movies that I can go back and watch. Um, I mean, these movies haven't been too tampered with, unlike the Star Wars movies, the OT, but it's fine. These movies are there's a few versions of this. There's like a director's cut. There's the original version. I saw the movie version, the movie release version. I saw it a few years ago in movie theater as like a Fathom event. That was pretty sweet. But I can go back to these. It reminded me that my heart is still there. I still love these movies, but this movie is the one that for me like catapulted my love of storytelling and direction. So and acting. So at any rate, what are your thoughts on the Superman movie? Do you like it? Did you not like it? Is it cheesy? Did it hold up well? Are you and like too like without like let's not get mad at each other. Like I love Tyler Hoechlin's Superman. I love Lois, Superman and Lois, the show on WB. Do you like it? Tell me, like, let's talk Superman. Anything you want. Like, I'm excited. I want to hear all your stuff. So thank you for watching another episode of the R&B Show. And I know Bruce has a bunch of solo episodes, and we are coming together. We're gonna do we have some ideas for like the next few episodes. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned. Thank you so much.